Hello, my name is Hans George Campbell, and tonight I wanted to show you guys how much money I made on some items that I sold on eBay. The first item here is I sold that CMD FT4000 disk drive for the Commodore 64 computer, the one that I showed on my YouTube channel. I put that up on eBay, and as you can see, I sold it for roughly, $800 plus the cost of shipping. And the guy's real happy with it. He's already given me positive feedback on it. Yeah, fast shipping, item packaged very well, and everything as described. Okay, CMD FT4000, rarest disk drive for Commodore 64, C64. $799.95, roughly $800. Okay. Let's take a look at I'll show the pictures first. So you got to have clear pictures. If you want to sell stuff successfully on eBay, you really need to have clear pictures. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of amateur sellers make on eBay. They have crappy pictures. You really need to invest in a good camera, and you need to learn how to take good pictures. Yeah, the CMD FT4000 is the rarest disk drive for the Commodore 64 computers. Not many were produced, and they are extremely hard to find today. I do not use the term rare lightly, hence the high price for this item. You can see and learn more about this CMD FT4000 disk drive on my YouTube channel, Hans Campbell. I do not ship outside the United States at this time. That's because of the pandemic and all the problems that causes with shipping overseas, so I don't even deal with it. All vintage computer hardware and software are sold as is. Now, this is a better way to do this, to protect yourself. When you're selling vintage computer hardware and software, especially the hardware, don't put in the description that item has been untested and is sold as is. Don't do that, because people will automatically assume that you did test it and that you know that it does not work. So instead of putting in your description that it does not work, you put in the description, not tested, sold as is. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's actually better to put like what I did. All vintage computer hardware and software are sold as is, because only a stupid fool sells vintage computer hardware without putting this disclaimer. Without putting this in the description. Because it's old hardware. It can go bad at any moment, any second. And it's no fault of your own. Okay, so just because it worked before you sold it, does not necessarily mean that it's going to work when the buyer receives it. So in order to protect yourself, okay, whenever you're selling vintage computer hardware, put it like this. All vintage computer hardware and software are sold as is. That does not mean that it does not work. No. That means that it's vintage computer hardware, and it's sold as is. Plus, if you're like me and you get a lot of vintage computer stuff in all the time, you don't have time to test everything. I mean, seriously, I get so much vintage computer stuff in that I don't have time to test everything that I get in. So, yeah. No, many people have offered me $400 to $600 for this rare disk drive. I will not lower the price on this rare disk drive. If it does not sell for my asking price, I would just keep the drive and put it back into my vast vintage computer collection. So if you want to own the rarest disk drive for the Commodore 64 computer, now is your chance. As of October 14th, there are 44 people watching this post. See, this is the way you want to do your descriptions. If you want to sell a vintage computer item for maximum profit, you can't expect to get maximum dollar if you put up a crappy picture or if you put up a 1 or 2 sentence description. It's just not going to happen. You can't be lazy and stupid when you're trying to sell vintage computer hardware and software on eBay. You need to do it just like I do. Trust me, I'm one of the original 1,000 sellers. I basically helped start eBay. That's right, all those years ago. They had a deal where if you signed up as a seller on eBay, that you could list items for free for the first year. And I forgot all about that, but you know, a few months ago I found a letter, well, a copy of my email. I printed out the email that that eBay sent me, saying that, you know, that since I had become a new seller, that I got a year, you know, I could put up anything I wanted for a year with no listing fee. It'd be free, don't have to pay anything on it. And that's how I found out, and you know, that I was one of the original 1,000 eBay sellers. And the only reason why I'm saying this, I'm not trying to brag or toot my own horn or nothing like that, is to let you know that, yeah, I have been selling on eBay since they started. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to selling stuff on eBay. And I usually get high dollar amounts. I get maximum profit, you know, when I sell stuff on eBay. So I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm talking about. As you see here, I paid $200 for this disk drive, and I sold it for $800. So, yeah. Let's see. I sold this Commodore Amiga 500 disk drive for $60 plus the cost of shipping. That's some old disk drive that I took out of an Amiga 500. I did test it. It does work. Yeah, if you do take the time to test something, you need to put that in the description, because you can get a lot more money if it's been tested and it fully works. You can actually get more money. You can ask for more money that way. But even though this is tested and it works, I still put in the description, see, all vintage computer hardware and software are sold as is. You need to put that in every description. You know, as far as, you know, you're selling vintage computer hardware, this needs to be posted. This protects you, the seller, right there. Commodore Amiga 500 disk drive Shinon. It was tested and found to be in working order. Okay. Note, I do not ship outside the United States at this time. I do not combine shipping. Yeah, you really should not combine shipping on vintage computer items. You'll lose your shirt if you do that. You want to, you don't want to combine shipping, trust me. Not on vintage computer hardware and software. So, yeah. But anyway, that's that. The disk drive. Amiga 500 disk drive sold for $600. And I sold this game here for $70, and all it is just a cardboard sleeve, and it's crinkled and everything, plus the disc. And I got $70 for that. No instructions, no nothing. $70. Oh man, I can't believe that the prices that people are willing to pay for this stuff. Jeez. I might have paid $20 or $30 for it, but that's brand new, still sealed. You know, that's because I'm smart. I would have never paid $70 for something like that. And then I sold this disk drive here, Commodore 1581 disk drive. If I remember correctly, I paid $200 for this disk drive, and I doubled my money on it. Yeah, I sold it for $400 plus the cost of shipping, and that's just for the loose drive. No box, no manual, no cables, no nothing. That's just for the bare loose drive, untested. And yet I was able to double my money on it. I sold it for $400 for that drive. Yeah, $400. No, I will not lower the price ever, so stop asking. Extremely hard to find. Okay, Commodore 1581 disk drive. The drive appears to be in great shape. Please check pictures for condition. These Commodore 1581 disk drives are extremely hard to find and are highly sought after by collectors, hence the high price. The Commodore 1581 disk drive uses the same power supply as the 1541-2 and the 1571 disk drives. This drive will be shipped in a gray foam-lined box via USPS Priority Mail. I never ship vintage computer items via UPS or FedEx. Both of these companies have a bad reputation for not caring about packages and for damaging vintage computer items. This Commodore 1581 disk drive will sell during the upcoming Christmas season. So if you want this rare drive, you better grab it now. Note, I do not ship outside the United States at this time. I do not combine shipping. All vintage computer hardware and software are sold as is. Okay. So yeah, I paid $200 for that drive and I sold it for $400. So that's good. And then next we have this Macintosh LC2 motherboard, new in Apple Service Box. I paid $5 for that board, new in the box, and I sold it for $150. So I made some really good profit on this. Yeah. Yeah, I made some good profit on that. Yeah, I paid $5 for it and sold it for $150. So yeah, new in Apple Service Box. I made damn good profit on that. Macintosh LC2 motherboard is new in Apple Service Box. Okay. And again, all vintage computer hardware and software are sold as is. See, even though that's a brand new motherboard, probably works great. You always put this to protect yourself if you're the seller. Next we have a a golden image mouse for Commodore Amiga, Atari ST, and I sold this for $60. $60. Let's see what I put in the description. Yeah, golden image mouse for Commodore Amiga and Atari ST computers. There is a switch on the bottom of the mouse for selecting Amiga or Atari ST. And next, I got positive feedback on everything that I'm showing you tonight. I already received positive feedback on everything. So, yeah, okay. Next, I sold a used Commodore 128 motherboard for $130. And that's with most of the chips removed. I mean, the main chips have all been removed. The socketed chips, I keep all that, including the ones that are underneath the shield here. And yet I was still able to sell this Commodore 128 motherboard with the rust here on the top, the missing chips. I was still able to sell this for $130. Yeah. And I think I paid like about, I don't know, $5 or $10 for this motherboard. So that was really good profit. Yeah, $130. Yeah, Commodore 128 motherboard. It works. Just replace the missing chips. All right. And next, I couldn't believe how much this went for. Well, actually, I could. Yeah. All right. I sold a Commodore 1581 disk drive in an original box for $600. I paid $300 for this drive, and I sold it for, well, I doubled my money on it. I sold it for $600. Now, I had like 4 of these, and I kept 2, and I already sold another one. So I'm keeping 2 of these in the original box for my own personal collection. But I don't need to keep more than 2 of them. So every time I get these in the original box, I just put them up on eBay because, I don't want them. I already have 2 of them in mint condition in their original boxes. So, yeah. Yeah, these are very hard to find. That's why people are willing to pay so much money for these. They're very hard to find. Personally, I don't use the 1581 disk drives because it's a non-standard disk format for the Commodore 64. The Commodore 64 uses single-sided, double-density, 5 1/4-inch disks. That's the normal disk of the Commodore 64 computer. The Commodore 128 computer uses double-sided, double-density, 5 1/4-inch disks. The 3 1/2-inch disks are non-standard for the Commodore 64 and the Commodore 128, and because of that, I do not use the 1581 disk drive. But I'm still going to keep the 2 that I have in my personal collection. I'm keeping the 2 of them that I have mint in the original boxes. Okay, up for sale is this hard-to-find Commodore 1581 disk drive. It comes with power supply, serial cable, manual, and original box. The drive was tested and works. Everything appears to be in great shape. I will not lower the price. You need to put that, because if you don't put that in your description, people will just add this to their watch list and they'll keep watching it expecting you to lower the price, wasting your valuable time. Whereas if you put this in the description that you will not lower the price, that keeps buyers from doing that. If they want the drive, they're going to go ahead and buy it. They're not going to waste your time, and you'll get your money faster. These Commodore 1581 disk drives are extremely hard to find, especially in their original box. These have sold for around $600, and they are not in as nice a shape as the one I am selling. So I know that my price is fair. Just do an advanced search on eBay for Commodore 1581 disk drives, sold listings, and you will see for yourself just how much people are willing to pay for these hard-to-find disk drives. This Commodore 1581 disk drive will sell during the upcoming Christmas season. So if you want this rare drive, you better grab it. Note, I do not ship outside the United States at this time. I do not combine shipping on vintage computer items. All vintage computer hardware and software are sold as is. Okay, so this was one of the reasons why I was able to sell this drive for my asking price. A really nice description and some great pictures. This is what you got to do if you want to sell stuff successfully on eBay for maximum profit. That's right. You got to take the time. Don't be lazy. Don't be stupid. And you will make money too, just like I do. See? Okay, the next thing I sold is an Apple Macintosh 2 SI motherboard in box, but this is used. I sold it for $130. Now keep in mind, I only paid $5 for this board. $5. And I sold it for $130. Yeah, I sold it for $130. And this is a used motherboard. Probably needs recapping. But yeah, I sold this one for $130, and I paid $5 for it. That's all I paid for that board, $5. I made a lot of profit on that. A lot of profit. Apple Macintosh 2 SI motherboard in box. It appears to be in good condition. See pictures. I will not lower the price. See, it's important that you put that in there, because if you don't put that in there, People will watch your listing, thinking that you're going to eventually lower the price. See, and that wastes your time. And that means it takes longer to actually sell the item. So make sure you put in your listing, I will not lower the price. That keeps people in general from watching your item. And if they want the item, they'll buy it. They're not going to watch it. Because what's the sense of watching it? Unless they too have the same item, a similar item, and they're seeing this, they're checking out to see how much it sells for, so that they can sell theirs for the same price. Okay? Because some people do. I even do that myself. Okay. Last but not least, actually, okay, we got a Commodore 120 motherboard, another one. I sold it for $115. I could have got more for it, because I sold the other one for, I think, $130. And again, this one I paid like $5 or $10 for it. I kept all the socketed chips, including the two that are underneath the shield. And yet the board I was still able to sell this board for $115. Yeah, and I have all these spare chips, I can keep for my own, including a SID chip. That usually sells for about $65 to $85 just for that one chip. Yeah. So yeah, $115 for a board I paid $5 or $10 for. Yeah. Commodore 128 motherboard. It works. Just replace the missing chips. All right. And last but not least, I sold for $130 a Commodore CBM 4040 dual drive motherboard. Hard to find. And this came out of a rusty piece of crap. Came out of a rusty piece of crap. And yet I was still able to sell it for that much money. Yeah, $130. Damn. Yeah. Commodore CBM 4040 dual drive motherboard. These are very hard to find today. See what it says here? I do not combine shipping on vintage computer items. That's very important to put that. All vintage computer hardware and software are sold as is. You need to put these two things in your auction descriptions if you're selling vintage computer items. Okay, take it from me. I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's it for this video. Let me see some. Selling. As you can see, I made over $3,000. It says 90-day total, but I made this money within the past, I think, month and a half, about 6 weeks. So, yeah, I do pretty good on eBay. So far, I've made over $200,000 selling on eBay, and I'm working on my third $100,000. So soon I'll have $300,000 that I made on eBay. Yeah. So, yeah, I do pretty good. And I have 100%, positive feedback. Now, I have other eBay accounts as well. This is not my only eBay account. I have other accounts I sell other stuff on. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could be a power seller on this account if I want to. I just haven't accepted it yet. eBay sent me an email stating that I can be a power seller if I want to. And I'm still thinking about that. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and got some useful information out of it. Anyway, my name is Hans George Campbell, and until next time.